Well, I thought you were going right into. I thought you were going hard on.
Metallica?
No, it's no. Amazing Grace. That's the Easter song, right?
Sure.
Yeah. No, they sing that on Easter. That's where all the bad guys in. We straightened this out last night. That's the bad guys from Lord of the Rings, the Easterlings. They celebrate Easter all year, man.
So let it be written. So let it be done. This is Tabletop Terrors. I'm waiting for you to rhyme.
Every time I'm like,
if this is your first time watching, I'm Tim. This is my brother James. Our entire situation is we believe that everyone can be more creative, and we use tabletop games to prove it. We are going to do a live Q&A and read some comments. We've been super busy and are behind on comments, so we're going to go through and read a ton of comments today. And if you have any questions, we're going to have the live chat open. So the first thing we're going to do is something we always like to do, which is start out with a Tabtarian toast.
May you mend the first brick.
May you kill the first snake. And may you conquer everything you undertake. Sláinte.
Man. All right. Waiting a while for that. We usually open them on screen. We've been working on some stuff, so we have been nursing them babies.
New setup. You see, we got a new red backdrop here. Different lighting setup. Hopefully, a little brighter, better audio quality. Just a little upgrade in every little area. So we're excited, and we're gonna go to the comments. We're gonna read the comments out loud. I'll do my best to pronounce the names.
Oh, look, there's people in the chat. Hey, people in the chat. I forgot that was a thing. It's been so long since we've worked.
It has been far too long.
I was very ill last week. We were taking a planned hiatus anyway. We do that every 6 or 8 weeks or so. But it was a good thing that it was last week because I was on my deathbed. And by that, I mean I laid in the bed I planned to die in. I wasn't really that close to death, but I was very sick.
That's awesome. So one of the things you're going to notice, this is fresh from Amazon. Because there's still wrinkles in the drop cloth, which will usually work themselves out. But I think let's pull up the comments. First of all, thank you all. If you're a subscriber, we haven't posted a video that hasn't been a live stream in quite some time. But the other thing we're really excited about is that this is also going to be our new video setup. So we're going to use XSplit and this mic, which is going to cut down on production time, because before we were using a DSLR camera, we were using a couple of different microphones and using an audio interface, recording the audio separately, syncing them up, editing it. Now we're going to try just using XSplit, recording it straight to the hard drive, which is going to make it much quicker. So hopefully we're going to put out a lot more content. But what about you? Do you have any questions? Anything you want to ask us about? We're also going to jump to...
I was going to say, people in the live chat, hello, everyone, but there are a few good comments already.
Oh, can't wait.
Zen, who is the somebody that's at the end of Half-Life 1. Spoiler alert, by the way, but it's like you're nearly 2 decades out. Zen is one of the last people in, and he's in the chat, so that alien is very nice to be here. But he says, of course, a live stream starts right after I finish my energy drink. But then Fahad says 2 things. One, he says, I hope you feel better, James, which I appreciate. And 2, one of the things that you can say about someone's haircut that is not nice nor not nice.
Oh.
Still getting used to Tim's new haircut. Not, I like it, not, sure. I don't like it, just, I'm interested you went that direction with it.
Yeah. He's like, you know what? That's very brave of you.
Brave.
No. So, it's super easy. It's getting hot in the summer of Florida. And so it's easier for me to quickly shower after a workout and just not have to do anything with my hair. Before, I was kind of parting it to the side, and I have very fine hair. So my hair is very soft, and so I have to put like some kind of hair product in it or it won't stay anywhere. So
Fahad did clarify. He said, I like it. Don't take it the wrong way. Of course, we were just poking fun at you because I think it's funny to make fun of Tim.
Oh, for sure.
But I wanted to segue into what I've decided. I recently watched the movie Bronson with Tom Hardy. Okay. It's a biopic about the most famous violent prisoner in the British prison system.
Oh wow.
And it's a little bit weird because there's not really a super cohesive story because it's just the life of this guy. You know, it's not like, and then he met this person and this cool thing happened. It was like, nope, then he went to prison again. But he shaves his head completely, and it's Tom Hardy, he just looks really cool. Shaves his head completely and has a mustache with like curled up edges. And if I start balding any more than this, I'm going hard on that. I was talking to somebody.
Are you going mustache?
I'm going if I'm like I'm never doing the half bald. Is basically the thing. If I'm like starting to go, I'm like, you know what? We're gonna straight razor it, and we're gonna I'm gonna go hard, like just like max paint on it, with like the sideburns that start nowhere and come down, and like just like a goatee.
Different,
just like
than just a mustache.
I know we're gonna try both. I say we, and I mean me and my mustache.
Well,
my mustache and I,
and me. I need to be involved in this because I cannot wait to document it on camera.
Like I said, if that's what happens, there's just something about it. Like some people get away with it. Like a good example, distinguished people do. James Spader is balding and he just shaves it. You know, and I'm like, he gets away with it. There are a few people that do, but then you have people like Pete from 30 Rock. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm not one for the in between. So
yeah, not the eagle.
Fahad says Tom Hardy's a big guy. Tom Hardy is a huge guy, especially in Bronson.
Yeah,
dude is enormous.
He is a big dude.
What you looking at? Josh says I've been getting a short fade since I served. That seems pretty common.
Sure.
Feel like
and
that's what happens.
You know, I think
William Layton says, "Why wait? Go hard now." I'm like, listen, I need something to push me over the edge. I'm not just gonna.
I'm gonna shave James's hair. I'm gonna give him chemicals.
All right, there we go.
So I want to take a moment to mention, because I saw that Drake from the RPG Construct is in the chat. I'm going to make an actual Facebook post in the Absolute Tabletop Facebook group, which you should join. But he didn't mention any of this right now, but I want to say that Drake has been running a game in the realm of Dragon Grin. He's running a campaign in Dragon Grin. Dragon Grin is a campaign world that James and I wrote and is available on absolutetabletop.com. It has turned into a Copper Jackals campaign. And I guess that's a spoiler. Sorry. But there are several sessions in, but this most recent session, thank you. I almost said episode.
Yeah, episode.
It felt very, so his team they went through what it takes to become a Copper Jackal. In Dragon Grin, Copper Jackals are these paramilitary, super heroic, like even more heroic than an adventurer. And so they have these marks called a jackal bite that gives them their power. He did like sort of minting, and then they all got their jackal bites, and he let all the players narrate how it happened, and it was incredible. It was exactly what I always wanted the Copper Jackals to be.
Yeah.
Everyone did an incredible job of narrating it, but it was so surreal. I just finished watching it the other day. It was so surreal because I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is the Copper Jackals.
This is them." Yeah.
So if you want to see a very good example of the Copper Jackals, of course you can catch up on the 8 or 9 sessions, right? But if you don't have time to do all of that, I would suggest you just jump right on board and at least watch this most recent session because it was super good.
And is that the Dragon Grin Chronicles game? What's it called so people can find it?
So there are 2. I'll actually go so that I don't make a mistake.
Jim Moreno says, "Congratulations! Thank you very much, Jim. It's glad to see you. It's glad to see you here. We're glad to see you here." Somebody did also ask a real question, so we'll get to that after after you figure this out. I need you to click a button right now.
So Dragon Grin Chronicles is the name of it. You are correct. And then in addition to that, he also has Tavern Tales, which is set sort of in Dragon Grin as well. So he kind of ties it together. And so yes, the Dragon.
So
Grin
if you want to see the game Tim's talking about, it's going to be a Dragon Grin Chronicles game. What session 8 or so? You said
yeah.
There were
So I'll actually go right to it. Yep, it was session. You're exactly right. Session 8, Trial by Fire.
Yeah, I don't know how I knew that, but I did. Boom. Prue says, "Hello, thirsty fellows. Congratulations again. Thank you." Somebody a while back though did ask a real question. About
Let's go for it.
Will Ward asks, "New to D&D, what are your opinions on bards? I'm a musical person and thought they seemed cool."
What are your opinions on bards?
I think they're great. I find it interesting how often people separate them as like something that's different. That's a sort of a weird thing, but for some reason to me, I feel like people see bards as something other than just another class you can play that's more or less on par with the other ones. Maybe that's because I feel like built into the class, there is a heavier role play component because you're a performer, like that's your class. Whereas a barbarian, I feel like people are less apt to act out being a barbarian. As a player, you just use your abilities. So I really like bards, but I find it interesting how often people single them out. They seem to be sort of the subject of a lot of conversation. Not necessarily good or bad, just like they're very unique. And I don't know. Yeah, I see them as just another class.
Yeah. I think the thing I like a lot about bards, I play a bard in, if you go to the channel on YouTube, Be a Better Game Master, it's a campaign called The Wings of Sorceline. I play a bard named Quint Rec Coppermist. And one of the things I love about bards is that they can melee fight. So they're not the best melee fighter. When I say best, that's air quotes. I mean,
they're not as good as a fighter.
If you're a mechanical person, they don't put as much damage out as a fighter or a paladin or anything like that. But they can hold their own in melee. They also, especially when you get higher level, have some really cool spells. And they have this ability, once they hit, like I'm a level 10, and you can learn any spell from anyone's spell list.
Yeah.
I took Fireball. So you're a bard that can cast some of the most powerful spells in the game. You get to choose one. So that's really cool. And then in addition to that, there's a really cool bro element because you get to give people what are called bardic dice.
Yeah.
Which is like you get to give them dice to make their rolls better. So it's this cool feeling like you're helping the rest of the group out in a way that I don't think any other class does quite like that.
Yeah, no. Does a fighter give people die?
No.
Or that's the bard. Okay, no, I was thinking bard.
Well,
they have one.
Hold on, I could be wrong. Maybe a battle master fighter has a maneuver where they like give you a die or something.
Either way,
or like when you're around the campfire, you can sing the Song of Rest, which basically lets them add more hit points if you're resting with them. Just cool little buffs that make you a cool asset to have around.
Exactly. Somebody, excuse me, Fahad says his friend plays a bard in 5e and he's very formidable. I think that is the most important thing. I did play a bard in 3.5, and the bard in 3.5 was not good enough at anything in particular.
Agreed.
In my opinion, I didn't play at super high level, probably 3 to 5. So we're talking specifically 5th edition bards are a lot more balanced, but I feel like some of their reputation followed them from 3.5 and potentially 4. I don't know what they were really in 4. No idea there.
Me either.
Prue was concerned we didn't have energy drinks. I held it up earlier, but I wanted to make it clear. No, we certainly do. We actually have these. Tim tried this one the other day, maybe a week or two ago. It's called Monster Energy. It's a 0. It's ultraviolet. It's like a grape one. Very good. Very happy with it. I don't see them many places. The place we go did have them, but it's not a common thing.
No, this is the first week they've had them. We skipped last week, but this is the first week they've had them since we've been going there.
Exactly.
Ever.
So that was exciting.
Any other questions, or do you want to start hitting some of these comments?
I think we have 2 more questions.
Oh, good.
Prue said, this is a sort of personal question for both of us. You're brothers and you work and play together. What do you each love most about hanging with your brother?
Do you go on the spot first, or do I?
I was going to say, do you want to... my first instinct is to say things I love that are passive-aggressive. So I just love how long it takes Tim to figure stuff out sometimes.
Yeah.
I just love how we sit down, and I don't know what it is, but like it just takes Tim forever to like set it up. I don't know. That's what I love.
Let me tell you what I love about working with James. I love when I'm trying to get the audio set up and he watches these Warhammer.
I watch Total War Warhammer
videos.
tutorial videos by a guy named Party Elite. He's really good if you want to watch
I
those.
love it because I'm sitting here trying to figure out the audio configuration, and I hear like, "Hey guys, it's Party Elite, and I'm here to tell you how to make your goblins formidable."
That is like spot on.
So, no, but really, what I can really go.
Yeah, go for it. No, yeah.
I love you so big. No.
So big.
I think my favorite part is just hanging out. This is, since we have, I think, come into our own as far as what kind of videos we make, and like whenever someone leaves a comment on the YouTube channel, like I actually let me work in a comment right now. It literally says by Zeet 5 days ago, and the comment is this, and I quote, "Jesus Christ, just get to the point." Whenever I see
give
that,
me like 10 more seconds to laugh at that.
Whenever I see that comment, I never get upset.
Never.
And I just think I understand that YouTube is comprised of mostly short videos, which I would equivocate to like really good, fulfilling pop songs.
Yeah.
And then you get to us, and we're like, and Justice for All length intros.
We're more like the band Yes, where you're like, oh my, like you better be in for that like ridiculous piano solo for 6 minutes in the middle. Like you're listening to Yes, that's what you get.
I'm sad that you're right because I wanted to be Metallica.
I know, I knew that, and I'm like, no,
we're Yes. So the reason why I come up and say all that is because we used to, if you look at some of our older videos, they were very stilted, and we would.
We were trying to do that. Yeah,
we were trying to make pop songs. There's nothing wrong with punchy videos with jump cuts. You're going to see probably more of that stuff from us, but know that where we live, our comfort zone is just talking.
Exactly. If you watch videos from when we started to now, or if you followed us for that long, you will see that it started out as us trying to be very succinct, not saying a word to each other, only talking to the camera. And what you don't realize is that a 20-minute video might have taken us an hour to do because we're trying so hard. But then we got into just talking for 2 hours, and that was too long. So it's been like a roller coaster of short videos, long videos, short videos. But no matter what, we're always going to ramble.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
So my favorite part is just the kind of traditional feel of it all. The what's the word I'm looking for? Ceremonious, I guess is a good way to do it, which is I arrive here at James's house. We kind of set up a little bit of the computer and the webcam and stuff, and then we go get energy drinks. So then we kind of catch up, like, hey, how's your week, et cetera. Because we talk a lot on Facebook Messenger, but it's usually about Absolute Tabletop or video games, so we don't really converse. Like,
just like chat all week. Yeah.
So that's my favorite part, just the hanging out of getting the energy drinks, coming here, filming a video, and then being able to watch back because I won't edit them right away.
Yeah.
And I'm always surprised. I'm like, oh, that was well said, or oh, that was a cool video. So just the hanging out is really fun.
I was going to say, that's kind of the answer. Like, I know that's kind of a cop-out, but the idea is I am a little bit sad for people that make videos alone because it's not impossible, but it is a lot more work. I think that's part of why Tim and I ramble so often, is it's us hanging out and we're recording it, but we're not like, okay, it's Sunday, we got to get this barbarian video done. It's kind of like us just hanging out, and we learned that tends to make a video that we are happy with. Not necessarily a better video or the one that more people like, but one that we are happier with. And that's good because we also got to hang out.
Exactly.
Because when we would get together and do the videos that were basically scripted, it didn't work. We weren't hanging out. It was just a completely different thing.
It was. So yeah, that's what I think. And I also, one kind of bonus piece of this answer is that James and I are very similar in a lot of ways, but we're also very different in a lot of ways. And I think that means that the chemistry is automatically very good because we've grown up together. So we have so many points of reference.
Yeah. Cut that context.
Yeah. So many contextual things and jokes and shared memories and stuff. But then we are very different, just in a lot of ways. But we're also able to communicate well enough to where the differences don't hinder. They give different viewpoints.
Yeah, exactly.
So absolutely. That would be. So I know you got some more questions, but I was going to do a comment, like maybe alternate a little bit, right? Sure. So, one of them says,
no, we're just going to do this one. One of them just says freestyle D&D.
That's it.
Yeah, comment over. No.
Voice of Man says freestyle D&D, and he's actually referring to, I just ran a game on Friday called Oath of the Frozen King. Fully improv using a book we're writing called an adventure kit is the product that it is, where it has a list of locations with sparse detail, a list of NPCs, a list of encounters with just enough detail so that you can mix and match them in any way. And so I wanted to see if I could run that with 0 prep.
Yeah.
And I did. And if you watch on this channel, that Oath of the Frozen King game, fully improvised. Now, listen, the 2 players that actually played were A-list phenomenal players, which obviously made it way easier.
That helps a lot.
But that's it. So Voice of Man says freestyle D&D, and that's what it was. It was about 2.5 hours, fully improvised, and I think it has a noticeable arc. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end of the story. Some slight character arcs. I was really proud of how it came out, but I was most happy with how well the kit worked.
Yeah. That was a joke about a short comment, but
yeah,
you subverted me.
So yeah,
that's okay.
I think we'll just leave it there. I mean, that was plenty.
So Lewis Conroy says, I haven't tried anything yet. What classes would you recommend for my first few games? I mean, to me, that's a relatively simple answer in that there's no reason not to try anything. If you don't know anything about D&D and you're concerned, I would say don't play a spellcaster. But everybody gets abilities and can do stuff. And if you start at level 1, you're not overwhelmed. True. So just pick what you like. I wouldn't say that there is something that I would suggest to a new player that's like, this is a little easier. Because even if you're a level 1 wizard, if you follow the rules, you have like a couple of spells. Right. It's not a big deal.
It's so true. If I would say, on the heels of that, a fighter, probably a champion fighter, because, which we don't have to worry about that. Never mind. I said champion fighter. You won't even get that until 3rd level.
Yeah, I'm like, you just...
Fighter is the class that I would probably give somebody simply because most people get the idea of, okay, I'm the guy that runs in and hits stuff. So if that doesn't fit your style, like James said, every level 1 character is so stripped down.
Yeah,
you'll be fine. But I would say fighter because there's not a thematic element like with the warlock where you have a patron, or with the bard where you draw upon bardic magic, or with the druid where or the paladin's oath.
Yeah, it is the simpler of all of them still. Because it basically is like, you have these skills. It's not somebody gave you these, or
right, or the monk who trains. Now again, there is no right answer. Just do what's fun, and it's
yeah. I would still say look at the classes, and maybe a fighter is the one you like. But if you are like, I like the idea of a wizard, don't be afraid, because a level 1 wizard is, super simple compared to a level 10 wizard.
Absolutely. It's comments turn.
Yeah, go for it.
Luke Barris, he commented on the Asian-inspired D&D, which was a live stream I did with Chris Wilhelm of Drop Dice. And he says, I was thinking of using base D&D content and then putting a Japanese twist on them. Dragonborn will look more like lung dragons. Half-orcs are now half Oni. Pelor and Seihinine are now Kami of the Sun and Moon. Classes could inherit the monk key pool system to perform cool stunts. I think that's super, super cool. I think that's really smart. Yeah, I would really like to play in a world like that. That sounds like...
Yeah, it sounds a lot like a custom setting. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, just there's no reason not to give that a shot. And I would say, yeah, if you figure that out a little bit and then run it for some people, you know what I mean? And you can sort of, dial it in from there.
Sure.
But it sounds very cool.
And I was going to say, if I had one thought, it's not even a critique, which is the monk key pool system. A good way to show contrast in that setting is having people who aren't monks or aren't martial artists. How do they get by?
Oh, yeah.
So the key point system is a great idea. And while you're homebrewing it, you can dial it in as you play, so it doesn't get overpowered or underpowered, whatever. But I like the idea of a situation where there are maybe some fighters who are against monks and they don't know martial arts, and how does that play out? So anyway, you might want to consider people who follow that and people who don't, just because it would create a lot of cool conflict.
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah.
Somebody mentioned a question that Voice of Man had earlier that I apparently missed. And they said, what can you tell us about the new adventure kit you may not have already covered in previous videos? I can't really think of something. There's nothing currently that I can think of that's a secret in that book. We released it as a playtest product. It remains largely unchanged from there. So if you've seen some of the playtests, whether the one Tim ran or a few other people have run quite a few, then I mean that's basically it. I wouldn't say there's anything secret or special to look out for.
Sure.
I mean, in fact, you did a video where you literally went through every part of it and kind of talked about what it was.
Yeah, when we announced it as a Kickstarter, and we'll probably do more of.
Yeah.
I think as the Kickstarter approaches, we're shooting for May, sometime in May, as far as kickstarting that product.
So maybe that's something that's not public knowledge yet.
Yeah. But I think that, yeah, that's actually a really good point. So in addition to that, though, if you want an idea of maybe what has changed or has been revealed, we've added more cool stuff to the toolkit. So that thing that you can use in the back to generate encounters or NPCs or things like that, we've beefed up a lot of it based on the feedback from the playtest. We also added an idea for plot twists for your adventure and like some red herrings and stuff. Those would probably be the two major things that changed from the playtest.
So yeah, generally just more stuff was added and will continue to be added. I think there are still a few more things.
Yep.
Based on the feedback that we want to add.
Yep. And check out that video. It would be on our channel, but it basically says, I think it's called Oath of the Frozen King Kickstarter announcement or something.
Yeah, and basically, if you were very curious about the Kickstarter, that's going through like the high points of each part of what you're going to get.
It's like a 2-hour stream.
Yeah. So comment.
Let's see here. All right. This is Ramina Buchanan, and she commented on our Learn to Play D&D video. And one of the things we say in that video is we try to get people to give us the character and then the challenge that they face, because we wanted to, I mean, the comments have gone bananas on that. It's so hard to keep up on that.
Oh my gosh.
But
basically, to give people an idea of what role playing is, they said, give us a situation and we'll kind of be the DM for you.
Right.
Without rules, just kind of, this is what you do.
So she says, Ramina is the character, and the guilt of a previous life as a bringer of death is her issue. So what I would do is I'd say, okay, Ramina, you're approached by someone who recognizes you, and they say, I know who you are, and I can help cleanse your guilt, but it might cost you everything. You have to come with me now. What do you do?
That's role playing right there, man. That's a plot hook if I've ever seen one. That's a big old. That's one of those like big old fishing plot. Yeah,
you know the old vaudeville,
the shark ones. Yeah.
Oh
so
no,
just a cane. You're talking a cane.
I'm talking a cane.
You put her on the neck and
yep. But no, you're thinking more like the Maui hook from Moana.
Oh yeah.
So I'm good. Thanks for that, Ramina, and welcome to the channel. You are a Tabtarian.
So Ian, I'm sorry. This is EUAN space MUIR. So Ian Moir, but not even close to that. Says, have you created any new and unique races as a DM? Did they have interesting race features, and how did they come into play in your campaigns and adventures? Any tips? I tend to stay away from creating new things because I like using the things that there are. I do love what we call reskinning, which is to us a fairly common concept and something that nobody should ever be afraid to do. You literally just take something that does exist and change all the cosmetic stuff about it. Usually I just tweak little things, but I mean, you can change it entirely. So you want the stats of a rust monster. You're like, okay, this is the right challenge rating for my players. It's got the attack and this and that, whatever. And you can literally just be like, all right, this is instead, a beast that's in the water that has this other special ability, but otherwise the stats are just the same. Change the run speed to a swim speed, and I'm like, there you go. You can say it looks like whatever you want. It does whatever you want. And the same with races. Mm-hmm. I'm a Dragonborn race, but I look like something else. I'm 10 feet tall and I have really long arms. Dragonborn is probably not the best idea for that. But the idea being,
it's the concept.
If you take something that someone else has created and is balanced within the game, you can make it look however you want without having to worry about the balance.
Sure.
So my tip for creating stuff is maybe don't.
And the reason why, here's why. The cosmetic stuff, the reskinning that he's talking about, covers almost everything. Now, here's the thing. Most homebrewers, it's deflating. They're like, oh, but I want to.
But I want to make something.
If you do it.
I just, actually, to be clearer about, you asked if I had any tips. I do not, because it is not something I feel very good at. So that's why I stay away from it.
Sure.
Let's put it that way.
So I'm going to make a bunch of D&D players, and mostly dungeon masters, probably very upset right now. In my games, I will let you reskin anything as nearly anything. Let me be clear as to what I'm saying. If you wanted to play a very specific kind of elf, I don't care if you use the stats for a gnome.
Yeah.
Here's why. Those stats have been play tested by tens of thousands of people over hundreds of hours. So I know that within the system, they work really well. If I did have to give you one main like spotlight of a tip when you're creating anything brand new, is that
wear sunscreen.
Chewing algebra is like solving problems with bubblegum. So what I would say is the number one mistake that home brewers make, I got them good, is
algebra.
They make things too powerful.
Yes.
So really try to look and pattern whatever you're doing after things that already exist, because you want to make the cool thing so you make it too cool.
Yeah, exactly.
So that would be my one thing. When you're home brewing,
is be careful about the power level.
Yes. Don't let the cool factor bleed in to where you're doing things for that one race that makes them far more powerful than the other races.
Exactly.
And that goes with monsters, anything.
Weapons, classes.
When people give me the, hey, can you take a look at this? 9 times out of 10, it's overpowered because they want it to be cool and unique. And so that would be my one tip.
Yeah. All right. On to a comment.
All right.
Find a better one this time. I like.
That was a great one.
Here's how I feel.
Listen,
here's how I feel.
You meanie.
I personally feel that the people that are here, it's cooler to answer their questions. So I like the idea that if we do a comment, that everybody can use it. Not to say that the last one was bad. The one with Ramina was
I'm not
very
screening
cool.
them.
I know. So what I'm saying is like try and find it if you can, like a question or something that we can, like that last one we just did. Well, that's a question. Pretend that one was a comment, and it was like, I don't know. It's not a huge deal.
So here's one.
Bad.
Here's one. This is from Z 5 days ago. He says, Jesus Christ, get to the point. Wrong. You are lost, Z. You've stumbled into yes. I was kidding.
Oh yeah, I thought you were going to read this other one. I'm like, this is the same guy. But
all of these comments are not what you're looking for. So why don't you just read another question?
Well, and that's what I mean. I'm like,
Okay,
I'm not saying
one.
I don't want to answer them, but there's a reason we answer the comments on the YouTube, not on the air.
I think that it's a 2-for-1 deal.
I think it's super cool, but it's sad when you're telling Ramina
really
a specific thing and everyone else is like, I don't know Ramina.
I know, but we're all family.
We are. That's true.
All right. I Feel You, Brother by Warforce of the Doombringer.
Done. Perfect.
Actually, I don't know if this is on purpose, but your name is Warforcer the Doombanger. So you must be so good at search.
Like you Bing.
You Doombanger.
Bing it. What's their
Chandler Bing. Nobody knows Bing's slogan. If you ask the Microsoft employee, hey, what's Bing's slogan? They'll go, that didn't fail?
Ready? No. Ready. I don't know. Let me Google it. Hey, yo. Sorry, guys. That was
best joke ever.
I stepped on that fruit. It was no longer low hanging. It was.
No, dude. That was the one that needed to be done. So go to another question.
All right. So Of the Vast Ocean says, thank you, Matthew.
Is you is or is you ain't my baby?
Fahad asks, what and when was your guys' first exposure to role-playing games? Please note, he did not say tabletop role-playing games. Though he may have meant that, it colors my answer differently.
Yeah, I was going to say, if it's role-playing games in general, in this instant, the one that reminds me of, like, closest to a role-playing game, there was a game called Genghis Khan, and it was a Nintendo game. And you would essentially take and build the stats of your general or your kingdom or what have you.
Or your Khan.
And you would then go through and get stronger and better.
Fahad said tabletop.
Oh, okay.
Tabletop.
All right.
But still, I'm answering non-tabletop first, and then we'll go into tabletop.
So you do your non-tabletop, and then I'll think about my tabletop.
So, but your first role-playing game was, I'm sorry, I interrupted.
I think it was Genghis Khan on
Genghis
Nintendo.
Khan.
Yeah. I'm going to look it up.
So mine was, Fahad, I'm so sorry, buddy. This is like tabletop role-playing game. Mine was, the one that I really remember the most was Icewind Dale. And the reason I bring that up is because as far as I know, if I remember correctly, it used the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons rules. And it came with a manual. I know games nowadays don't come with manuals as often, but it came with a very thick manual that explained the rules. not so much how to play D&D, and a lot of it was spells, but it was roughly how to play D&D because you need to learn about armor class and hit points and hit dice and a lot of the things. It was roughly like you could probably figure out how to play D&D if you found it, if you came across that as a researcher and needed to find out how to play second edition D&D, you could use that book. And so for me, that was it. Sure. It was all of the like Faerun lore and everything, and the weapons, and it was D&D. And so for me, I didn't realize at the time. I think my dad told me, "Oh yeah, this is a game that people play, but on the computer makes the rules for you and makes up the story." And in my mind, I thought, I want to do that in real life. And so it was kind of like tabletop.
So there it is. For me, and I know some have heard this before, but for me, it was I snuck away. I should not have been. We snuck across a major highway. It was still close, but I was supposed to be at my friend John's house. We snuck across a major highway and played D&D with this dude named Roy. Do you think he'll ever see this?
No. But even if he does, like, I want him to come out of the woodwork and be like, "That's me," because like, what? He's not gonna beat you up.
Well, no. I was gonna say something mean about him.
Yeah, like I said, he's not gonna beat you up, but he'll probably be like, "Yeah, I've grown a lot as a person, and it's really good to hear that you're getting that off your chest, Tim." That's how Roy talks.
It was kind of a petty physical thing he couldn't control.
Yeah, go for it.
You have the craziest teeth I've ever seen. They were 5 layers, like human shark teeth. And
That's
they were
actually
like
awesome.
they finished in this point, like it was like stacking teeth. It was crazy, but super cool guy. But I just remember that because I was getting a mental image of him, and I was like, "Wow!" It was just crazy teeth.
But that was Tim's first tabletop.
My first tabletop role-playing experiences with Roy's teeth. No, we snuck across and made characters on like regular white computer paper, and it was advanced Dungeons and Dragons. And our first quest that ended immediately, we didn't even start, was guarding barrels of beer for dwarves. And John's mom called Roy's house and said, "Tim's dad is here looking for him."
Ooh.
So we hopped into the small beater and drove 150 feet.
Yeah, like literally, it's across a street, but it's a 5-lane street.
And then that's a whole nother extra story because it's not like, "Hey, where were you?" And I was like, "Oh, I was playing D&D," because my parents also weren't too keen on the D&D stuff yet. So I had to lie about that. So it was weird.
Even though very shortly after, I mean, it might have been in the same time frame or a few years later, I was sitting there playing Icewind Dale on the computer. Whatever.
Weird, right? How on paper and pen makes it evil, but if you do it on the computer, it's different.
Yeah. Are we still doing comments? Because we don't have much time, but we have a few questions.
Yeah, why don't you go to the questions, and then maybe I'll just do a stream where I read the comments another time.
Proof made a funny joke. I do hate it. I hate fan interaction. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm not sitting here reading all these comments.
I'm watching a video of Nintendo's
Fahad asked, "Oh no, my first tabletop role playing game." No, I didn't answer mine.
Funny comment.
I didn't answer mine. We're gonna get to that.
Oh, okay. Just don't forget.
No, it's on there. I forgot it already. No, I played with Tim. He took me to Live in Greyhawk, which was a thing where you went and played with people who didn't have anybody to play with, so they asked strangers to play with them. It's a whole thing. We did a video on it. I won't get into it, but that was the first time. It was D&D 3.5, and it was cool. I had a lot of fun, but the DM was bad. That's as far as we'll go. William Layton said, "We do a lot of world building. Have you created an artifact that you think is amazing? If so, what is it?" Relatively quick answer. The Reliquary of Souls is an awesome thing that we made. It's a super cool thing. I don't remember what it does or how it works.
I was going to say, that's it? Just, yeah.
No, I remember roughly how it works.
We, I think, purposefully didn't define the exact thing, but we said that it's it sounds so much less cool when you have to describe it in the midst of a million other fantasy, like, awesome things. But it's essentially, it started out as what would be like a two-way communicator, but then became a portal device. And it was, here's the thing. In a low fantasy world, a two-way communication device will win you a war.
Exactly.
Because if you can't
In any fantasy world.
In any fantasy world, but if it's not common to be able to just go breaker one mage,
like, hey, they changed their formation to this.
Yeah.
Do this.
Blue wizard. This is Whitebeard. Are you in? You know, and it's like, it's if you take that away, and then if you make it so that there's limited teleportation available, even 1 or 2 people, imagine the difference that makes if you can communicate and then send people. So
not like the coolest thing we've ever made, but a very cool thing for our particular world. But Prue-Prue's funny thing was, do your families find you more annoying now that you are celebrities? Yeah, right. So they find us the same. We're not celebrities, and in fact, they probably find us more annoying now, just because as time goes on, we trend upward, not because of anything we do on YouTube or otherwise. Just the annoyingness continues to rise as we exist. So
sure,
yes. Also, Rockstar smash hotel rooms and want sorted skittles. What do TTRPG celebrities get up to for diva kicks? On Tim, what's our rider? If somebody invited us somewhere, what's on our rider that we want? Taco Bell and energy drinks.
I was just gonna say Taco
and
Bell.
There better be sour cream on that Meximel, or I'm not playing the show, because then I know that the stage isn't safe.
That's true. That's what concert riders really do. They make sure you're reading it. Because if you can't get me all brown M&Ms, then I know that you also probably didn't set up the rigging right or have the lights correct.
Exactly.
So, yeah, but I'd say that would be my biggest thing is if it was like, oh, if Rockstar smash hotel rooms, like, what do you want? I'd be like, here's what's on my rider. I just
a hotel room.
A hotel room would be wonderful. Yeah, bonus points if it's a hotel whose rooms are within an outer door. But if it's just one of those where you walk up to the door, like anyone can walk and kick in the door, like
like a hotel, motel, Holiday Inn.
Not
those
just
are 3 different things, but they're from a song. There you go. So there are a few.
Rob made a good. Did you see Rob's?
Yeah, but scroll down and just read Prooper's comment. Not out loud. You're very welcome, Prue. That was a lot of fun.
Can I go further up in the chat?
That is weird, but where? What
Rob made a comment.
He says, "I loved your wall. What happened to it?"
We painted it with the blood of infidels.
Doom, 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 doom. We didn't paint it black, though. We did the opposite.
It's a new backdrop we got for 16.
Oh, and then other people made jokes, and then menstruation came up. So good job, guys. I just caught up.
Good grief. No. Yeah, we made
the walls have eyes.
$17 purchase on Amazon to get this. Because essentially, I was wondering, well, why is my camera, we use the same camera here now that I use at my house to do live streams. And I'm like, why does it look so much better at my house? And James, having a lot of knowledge about photography, he's like, oh, it's the black backdrop. I'm like, the camera has trouble balancing all the dark, like, of the black backdrop and the tones of us.
Yeah, you can't manually set what you want it to focus on. So it says, hey, we see everything in the screen and we're going to try to balance it. We're going to put it in the middle. And that looked bad.
Right. So on the black backdrop, it would pull everything down. So now you'll see that we're a lot brighter. You can see me looking at the screen. We're a lot brighter, and these wrinkles will probably go out. And we're going to mess with
We need to steam it, but
yeah.
we're not going to. So
no, we won't.
Wrinkles galore, folks.
Sorry. And then, like, these 2 shadows behind us, these very slight shadows, we'll probably mess with the positioning of the lights to try to...
I don't think we will.
I will.
Tim will.
I will.
Some other time. We spent a bunch of time today figuring other stuff out. So
yeah. But this is our new setup, and it should be quick to just click, plug it in, and do this like this.
So this person, I was just going to read this person's name out loud, and then it made me laugh. Goodsuck asked, do you think you guys might make videos playing and reviewing tabletop games outside of D&D? Yes. Tim and I actually have
you want to
something.
grab one?
Yeah, I was going to say I thought about it.
So you don't grab that one.
Well, they're all under it. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, at least, okay. James has what looks like a Lego PC tower. That's been stripped.
So Tim and I have a few things. This is one. This is Robo Rally by Avalon Hill. As you can see, really fun game. Cassie and I played it the other day when our power went out. This is Acquire, another really cool game by Avalon Hill and Hasbro. I think Hasbro owns Avalon Hill, but it's an old Avalon Hill game. And then the last one, all Hill games because they're Avalon Hill. Betrayal at House on the Hill by Avalon Hill. Not really. This one's just Hasbro. But no, it is Avalon Hill. They get both, and Wizards. All that to say that we do have plans specifically starting with those and continuing through my relatively massive board game collection. We want to talk more about board games, talk about them, review them, tell people how to play them, lots of stuff. Not sure exactly when that's going to take place or how or what, and we're going to figure it out. And just like when we started making other videos, it's going to start out and they're not going to be the best, and then eventually they'll get better.
Sure. And I think for me, one of the things that I love about it is we are tabletop terrors. So we eventually do want to work more of these in consistently, like he's saying. Now that our setup is the way that it is, and it's going to be much easier to film from week to week because it's a couple of things we click into place and then are able to just start filming. The editing time for the videos is going to be much quicker too, because we're able to record this stuff using XSplit directly to our hard drive, audio, video, all together. That's going to save me hours. And so the reason why I say all that is, to me, I would love, with this setup, with these lights and everything, maybe putting the board here. And then isn't there a way to use another webcam or something that you can...
We'll figure that out.
Okay. Basically, it would be nice to be able to use another camera on the board. I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah, we're just going to set another camera up and record the board because you have to edit it anyway.
Okay,
it's going to be a whole different
maybe
thing.
your DSLR?
Yes.
Okay. So...
Harry Bowles asks, hey, can you please give me a shout out? No, sorry. See what I did there? See what I did there?
Harry, is that your real name?
I hope so.
Because if I was British, I would say, look at Harry Bowles.
Harry Bowles.
And that sounds like a different thing.
Oh, man. Rob says, Tabletop Terrors X-Wing Tournament. There's two of us, so a tournament wouldn't work well. Also,
well,
actually, I think Tim would win because I don't know what it is, but I'm really bad at X-Wing. Oh. Like, I play against Dad, and he just mops up.
The good news is James has quite a few X-Wing pieces.
Yes.
One of the things we want to do is roll in somehow. Like, we were still trying to figure it out, but roll in what you're saying, which
money.
is
we want to get a bunch of money.
Roll in money.
Roll around.
I don't think that'll ever happen with this current situation.
Not with this, for something else, like a lawsuit or something. I don't know.
Or I have some pretty grand plans for finding a box of money. But I thought that would get you.
I was reading something else.
Oh, so the plan is to have tutorials for board games, because I think we do a pretty good job of explaining things and also shortcutting like some of the things like, hey, we made this mistake, don't do it.
That is also the biggest barrier of entry. If I tell people, let's play a game, they say, how long are you going to have to explain it to me?
Yeah.
And I'm like, but it's fun once we play. But if I'm like, hey, I can queue up this 10-minute video I made that's like super succinct, and I would say a 10-minute video would be for a complicated game. For something like a Choir or Robo Rally, 5 minutes, and you will know how to play the game.
And I think, too, the thing that's cool is that James is a board game fanatic. So he knows and has played so many more games than me. So there's a really cool built-in dynamic where James is explaining it to the novice.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, hold on, how does this work? So there's going to be a really good, I really don't know these games, and he really does. So there's going to be a good dynamic there. But what I'd love to do is have a game that's a tutorial, and then just have some fun actual play where we just sit down and hang out. And even if we don't play the whole game, maybe just you and I, after we've done the tutorial, playing maybe 30 minutes of the game.
Yeah,
and just for fun and giggles and laughs.
And laughs. And like you said,
and
going through
splits,
making things clear exactly how you do things in practice. Because that's the other problem is you can explain board games to people, but it's not the same as playing. Once you play, the concepts can sink in and you understand how they interlock. But
exactly.
I can, spout rules at you all day, but that doesn't work.
But one of those things is X-Wing. All that to say that once we figure out the camera situation, which I think is going to be the trickiest part, but using XSplit should help, is that basically we can do anything once we get the setup of how we're going to film.
Yeah, and that's the main thing is we have been talking about the board games things for a while, but it will take a little more prep on my part, because while I do know the rules of a lot of board games, it's been a while since I've played them. I need to bone up like right before and have an idea, because it's easy to be like, oh, I totally forgot about that rule.
And the other thing to really hammer home is that when you put an internet video up of this is how to do it,
This is the right way to play the
you
game.
had better be right, because there have been a couple of videos that I've seen lately, really polished,
Like so
super good production value, wrong rules.
Like 2 or 3 of the rules were wrong, and specifically the Reddit comments were, "Hey, this is really good, but you actually messed up at this part." And I'm like, I would rather watch a poorly produced video that teaches me how to play correctly. But the problem is, if you've never played, you don't know that the rules are wrong. So I'm like it is. I'm very scared to get the rules wrong. So
Because
we're going to work on that a lot.
Well, and much differently than tabletop games, tabletop RPGs, which are basically thematic storytelling with a rules framework, board games often have very specific black and white rules, and there's not improv, and it's not about how you interpret it and house rules. It's like, no, we've play tested this game 500 times. If you don't do this, that guy's going to win every time.
Exactly. So, yeah. So we're even over time.
Maybe 1 more, 2 more.
I was going to say there's 1 more.
Go to 7.
There's 1 more solid D&D one, which was what do you think about Theater of the Mind? Theater of the Mind play. I'm trying to figure out who asked, but I need to scroll around.
So
can't help you. So what do you think of Theater of the Mind?
It is my favorite way to play Dungeons and Dragons, because I have a heavy improv style.
Colby Jurgensen, what do you think about the Theater of Mind style play? There we go. Sorry.
Well, Colby, it is my favorite style of play because as a dungeon master, I like to do prep light. I like to prep sort of anchor points and then improv a lot of the elements. And for me, I'm milky on the shape and size of a room until I need to know where it is. And now that's bad for some players, like our good buddy Hankrin Furnail on Drunks and Dragons. He's a mapper. He's an old school D&D player, so he'll map the dungeon. If you map the dungeon of mine, it wouldn't go well for me.
Yeah. And I think that's the important thing, is it is a style that I prefer, mostly because it lends itself, I would say more than anything, because it lends itself to the way that I play online, which is with people over Google Hangouts. You could conceivably use something like Roll20, but the prep that I like to do, I like to focus my prep time on coming up with the story and some of the descriptions and the NPCs, but I would rather not spend as much time like finding images on Google to use in Roll20 and then saying, okay, well, I want this room to be 20 by 20 or this and this. I'd rather describe the things and not have to try and use prep to be able to use a grid.
Sure.
Not that I wouldn't play using a grid if somebody else did it, but it works well for me and I really enjoy it.
Yeah, and there's the diametric opposite of that is people who build terrain, like one of our great friends, Jeremy Lilly, who runs these incredible games in his campaign world.
Oh, yeah, man. Some
of the most gorgeous terrain I've ever seen. If I were a player, I would love that.
Exactly.
But I don't have terrain, and I'm not planning on getting any. I in fact, while you were don't forget. Will you forget?
No.
Don't forget. While you were talking, I was thinking, I think the number one thing that would get our family to buy in 10 times more is ditching the grid and using Theater of the Mind.
Well, it's funny that you say that because we tried Theater of the Mind and they're like, I don't know where I am. And I'm like,
we were also not quite as good at handling it as DMs, I think.
I agree. But I also think that they aren't as good at paying attention. So they like there to be a solid reference. Because we didn't go grid. We went in the middle, like a rough idea.
Sure.
So that they knew where they were. And we did that because if they weren't paying attention and something happened, they could always look and didn't have to say, wait, what just happened?
Yeah, it's not untrue.
But that leads into what I was going to say, which is Jeremy does use those and it's really cool, but he plays in person. And so that's a different story. If I played in person, I would be more likely to use something because you can. Because it's easier to say, well, you're right, but online, there are a few more steps to using maps and grid. Mithal Harritz says, do you guys answer all questions? Not all questions, but we did answer that one. So, I mean, you lucky you, huh?
Can I say, too, that if you don't get a response from us here, that you can email bros, B-R-O-S, at tabletopterrors.com. We try to answer all that stuff. Just give us a couple of days.
Yeah, sometimes we miss things. And in some cases, people ask questions that I completely don't understand. I'm going to
Hey, bananas. Now
Somebody
that's
asked
how you
earlier.
sneeze, boys.
Somebody asked earlier, and we skipped it because we obviously, we're even 12 minutes past. We skipped it because they asked if we knew about the new person that was working on Hearthstone. I'm like, well, sometimes if I don't understand the question or it's not entirely pertinent, I don't necessarily go for it because the answer is no. And I don't think Tim follows Hearthstone, so he wouldn't know either.
No. But I will say that, well, that made it sound like I was segueing to add to your point. I'm adding to the question, not directly to your point. I'm very proud of the fact that the Tabletop Terrors Facebook page has the very responsive badge, which means that I think our average answer time, now this isn't a promise, but I try. Our average answer time is 7 minutes or less, averaged, which means some go 24 hours, some I answer immediately. It just depended on my schedule. But
yeah, exactly.
if you try. Yeah, if you have questions, I think one of the comments I get most frequently is, wow, thanks for answering so fast. Because we're around, we live in an age where I get the notifications here, and if it's a really detailed, long answer, I might not be able to.
But you will answer usually.
Like, hey, man, cool, I'll hit you later with that.
Which gives you that 7 minute response time. We're kind of fudging that, guys. So don't tell anybody. No, but you at least get a response saying, hey, sure, I'm going to be busy for the next 2 days, but I'll get back to you with a really complicated.
So, yeah. So if you have a question that wasn't answered, feel free to go. And, if you're a fan and you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And then you get notifications when we go live. If you aren't someone who's liked the Facebook page, like the Facebook page, because then when we post things, you'll get notifications, etc. And so, yeah, that's a good way to keep up.
Michael Ford says, I think it does require a good DM to be able to pull off theater of the mind. Many DMs just starting out have a problem just not describing the environment. To that point, I would say that it's fairly common. I would say probably every game I play in as a player, I ask the GM questions because I misunderstand what they describe. That is a thing that happens in theater of the mind because the person describing it has an idea of what it is, and sometimes they're not used to describing every little bit, and they miss a thing, and you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You said there were ascending stairs, but then you said that going down there was this. Which one is it? Like, oh, I misspoke, So to that point, I agree that it takes a good DM, but it's also never a problem, or especially if you're the DM and you're having trouble with it, it's never a problem to have the players ask questions or to re-describe what you said or something like that, because you have to. It's theater of the mind.
Yeah, and the other thing, I want to say something, and then I want to quote Jim Moreno, who, Jim, I want to put what you just said on a T-shirt. It's probably one of the best D&D quotes I've ever heard. Right there.
I'm staring at it and I don't see it. Oh, okay. Yep.
So, but before I say that, I want to say this. I also play a very retcon style of gaming, which in the comic book world, that means retroactive continuity, which means like, hey, we're going to hand wave some of the stuff that happened before. For the rule of cool, this would drive some people bananas, I am okay with mid-game changing something that happened as long as it doesn't cheapen something for a player or take away from them. But if they have a cool idea to add, like, hey, it just dawned on me that this local militia, would have been stationed here for probably the last couple of years. Can my brother be a part of this militia instead of the thing we said before? I'm all for going, yeah, that's great.
Exactly, because it doesn't hurt the mechanics, generally. It just adds a little bit more. In some cases you might say no, but only if they ask something outlandish like, well, the militia's probably been stationed here for 2 years, so I think a dragon would be a part of it.
Right. Right.
Well, let's find a middle ground. Maybe it's just your brother.
You always have the ability to say no, but exactly that. The thing is that when a great player and a great DM can collaborate and sort of put things together that make the story better, I'm all for retconning. So I like theater of the mind because there are less concrete details to change in retcon. I'm not like, well...
And in the same respect, you could still do that if you play on a grid. That's just a good tip.
Sure. I guess my point was, especially like, you're like, oh, you know what? Like, I'm okay with big ones. Like, hey, I know we said that we were in a castle, but could this potentially have been an abandoned prison? That would still work with the minis, but I'm like, if it was specifically a castle
map,
anyway.
That's a good point.
So,
but then Jim Moreno.
So Jim Moreno, incredible writer. Check out, just Google his name, and he has a fantastic array of articles. But he said, it's all theater of the mind. The only difference is whether you include visual aids or not.
I love that you gave him quote voice.
I did.
You super did. You did.
Jim, you've earned a quote voice. My brother.
Voice. So I don't think there's any more questions.
Oh my God, I've always thought that.
Oh yeah, okay.
I have always thought that.
So to give credit where credit is due, Rob was the one that brought it up.
Dude, okay. Rob from Performance Check, which check out Performance Check. He just posted a new video today about lightsabers and the emotional impact of your tools as a DM. Check that video out and subscribe to him.
Check it, son.
He said, Tim and James are the supernatural of this community. Supernatural is a show on the WB.
CW. Somebody mentioned
CW.
that too, yeah.
Sorry, I'm old. Well, on the CW.
The Cookie Wookie.
Awesome show.
Really cool show.
And he basically said, "Oh, you're killing me." He said more. Tim is Dean. James is Sam. I think James even resembles Jared Padalecki. I think so.
I used to have Jared Padalecki hair.
Yeah, dude.
A long time ago, before I was Tom Hardy from Bronson. But somebody else said something. Miftahal. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your name, but this is the person that asked if we answer all questions. And while the answer was no, they asked another question. Do you guys talk other RPGs besides D&D? We do, but I would say more on a case-by-case basis. D&D is our what we usually play. Mm-hmm. So we often do talk about other RPGs. I love the Star Wars RPG. Fate is also really cool. But we play, hands down, D&D more often than other ones. I'm in a Numenera campaign right now. Mm-hmm. So most of the stuff we talk about is for role-playing games in general, but we apply it to D&D because that's what we know the most. That's what we play the most, but it's rare. Or actually, I'd say maybe it's like split. Sometimes we'll talk mechanics, but more often we will talk concepts that could be applied to any role-playing game, like reskinning. You could do that in Numenera. You could do that in Fate. You could do that in Fate of the Norns. Anything. You can take one thing's stats and make it, look different. That's just that's a good example of, well, we talked about that in the concept or in the context of D&D, but it doesn't matter. So to answer your question, we mostly talk D&D, but if you have a question about another RPG or something, we talk about that.
And I think a lot of the advice we give is system agnostic because it's, like you saying, generalized advice. Here's a question. Here's I'm just going to serial namist this. At the end of our streams, especially long ones, I like to throw out there like, hey, if you watch this till the end, put this in the comments. Maybe we'll call it The End is Nigh. So for this, The End is Nigh, would you like for us to learn RPGs here, almost live, not sit here and watch us read a book, but
if you're into that.
One of the reasons why we do so many videos on D&D is because we know it well enough to talk about it freely without having to read a script So, would you like to see more videos of us? Let's just say, James and I say, okay, hey, we're going to do a video on Fate this week. Let's just read over this chapter and then talk about it. We'll talk about it from a place where we're not experts.
Yeah.
But we're just learning it. Would you be interested in that? So you can answer, tell me the secrets. No. You can answer, for this, The End is Nigh, you could say, yes, I would like that. Or, no, I would not like that.
So they said, it's okay if you can spell my name, I'm Asian, or can't spell my name, I'm Asian. Miftahal. I don't know. That doesn't roll off my tongue, which tells me I'm saying it wrong. Maybe that's what it is, and that's okay. But yeah. So that is this week's The End is Nigh. He made that about as complicated as possible, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to say. Like
Josh was thinking we were Abbott and Costello. So with that, I asked you,
Abbott,
who's on first? And then you make a D&D joke, and then we go from there, and we just reinvent on the spot. Who's on first with D&D? Go.
Yeah, but what's the name of the guy who's on first?
Who's the fighter?
Who's on the fighter?
Finn Ollie says, yo, mama's so easy, I rolled a 1 and still hit it. and I think that they were being crass, but that's hilarious.
I think that's where we should end it.
I do too. The end is nigh.
The end is
finale.
nigh.
And then they kissed us, both of us.
Oh. Who'd you kiss first? Don't lie. Because you can't kiss us both at the same time unless we press our heads together. And then you like kiss the middle of both of our like.
Parker Devney TV asks, where are the D&D Crash Course videos? Is that a thing?
There were a thing I did for my car. They're around. I didn't hide them or anything.
You can probably search them on YouTube.
Yeah, they're on. They should have a playlist. Or do you mean where are more of them? Because
sorry,
it's something I can do more of. They didn't seem to hit it off. I think part of it. Listen, here's the bottom line. This is just brass tacks. I have a setup now in my office so that I can stream, because streaming advice videos, not vlogs, but streaming advice videos from my car didn't work. People didn't like it. It's fine if I vlog from the car. Hey guys, what's going on? I'm holding the camera.
But advice video.
But when it's an advice video of like, hey guys, let's talk about D&D, it's like you lose credibility. It's like if you had a realtor's office in a dumpster. Yeah, just climb in. No, don't worry. It's fine. Come on.
It's fine. No. This is, trust me.
Oh, you brought your own banana peel? I'm blushing. So that's why. So the D&D Crash Course videos, I would record them. I put my phone on whisper mode. I put my phone on airplane mode, and I have this little grip stand, and I'd record it, and I do it all in one take, which that wasn't super easy. I'd do it all in one take, and then I would upload them. I was a realtor in a dumpster. I get it. So I'm going to try to do more videos like that.
Jeez. He's already answered like 3 times. He said that's a shame because he found them interesting. But
well, I'll try to do more videos like that, but just from my setup in my office versus in the realtor dumpster.
So Miftahul is a new subscriber, so I'm just harping on this because he keeps saying stuff. Why don't you guys just do gameplay? That would be awesome. There are actually a bunch of actual play videos on our channel. If you search, Tim just ran a game called Oath of the Frozen King the other night. We also, the Dragon Grin, Those That Remain campaign is one that I'm in that Tim runs. So if you're interested in live plays.
And Ironheart of Innis, which is a Finnish campaign that James ran. It was like last year, 2 years ago.
So if you're interested in seeing people play D&D, you don't have to look further than our channel. And then a bunch of people in the chat as well do the same thing. So plenty of actual plays. We are actually going to end this, but there was another Yo Mama joke. John Jarvis says, Yo Mama's so fat that her size category is damn. And I'm like, I don't know. That's funny. Like, that's hilarious to me. D&D Yo Mama jokes?
D&D Yo Mama jokes. Listen,
oh, I'm sorry about your mother, but that's funny.
I will make this promise to you. If you email us D&D Yo Mama jokes, and as long as they're relatively clean.
There are like 3 more.
I will absolutely, James and I will read them on air. I will give you full credit, but I will absolutely make D&D Yo Mama jokes.
Finn Ollie came in with another one. Your mama's so ugly. All creatures within line of sight to her, within 60 feet of her, have to make a DC 30 fortitude save or be nauseated. Like, they're just like, they're a sensible chuckle. They're like,
I think a thing was just created live here. I think, unless that's a thing, D&D Yo Mama jokes. If that's a thing, I'm late to the party.
I'm sure it is, but I haven't seen a bunch of them, and maybe these people are just looking up. He says you're welcome. So we should stop this, but
email Yo Mama at tabletopterrors.com. Any D&D Yo Mama jokes, and as long as they're, listen, they got to be funny too. If you don't see yours, you got to try again. But if you, or we're busy, you just got to live with the torment that you're either not good enough or I'm busy.
This has left the rails.
I know.
It's
Okay. Lion face.
Lemon face. Lion face. Lemon face. Somebody else said they liked the video with her mom in it. We want to do that more often.
Yeah, I'll tell her these jokes. How do you think she'll feel?
Oh, she'll come right back at you.
Oh, she'll go, that's stupid.
That is exactly.
I think they're fantastic. So yeah, Yo Mama at tabletopterrors.com, and I'll definitely do it. You got one more for me?
Yo Mama joke? I think there is another one.
If it's a D&D one.
It is a D&D one. I don't understand it as much. So
I am a Yo Mama D&D joke rules lawyer.
Yo Mama's so fat an optimized war Hulk / hulking hurler can't throw her. That one's over my D&D head, but I'm assuming
too.
that something can throw things, but maybe not of a certain size category. So I'm like, good effort, but I think it was a little too niche for me. But good. It's another good one.
Smarter people will get it.
Exactly. So we should end this. World Star Hip Hop. Look us up on YouTube. Josh said that, and don't worry about it. It's an inside joke between nobody.
If you're still here, you are truly Tabtarian. Don't forget your end is nigh. And let us know if you'd like to see us learn RPGs live.
Live and in concert.
And thanks for subscribing. We hit 8,000 subscribers. Lord knows how. God help me with all this. Look at us. But
look at us.
Look at us. We're glad you're here. Thanks for watching. And until next time, make sure you have Google Hangouts pulled up because you can't end the broadcast from XSplit. Until next time, make your dice roll high.